that kiss is romance history. That kiss is so important. I think it should be put in the National History Museum in America. I think everyone should watch it at least once in their lives because Hello, lovers, and welcome back to Starring Cupid, the leading podcast in the field of journalism, where we analyze our favorite fictional journalists. As always, it is your boy Zamaralex, nothing more, nothing less, from the east, not the west, as I live and breathe raisins. Yeah, no, that intro was a reach, but I had to try it. It was really worth it for the reference for today's episode. Hi everybody. For anyone joining us for the very first time, welcome to the Lovers Club, which sounds far more shady than I intended, but that's what we are. For anyone that hasn't heard from me in the 3+ months since I last dropped an episode, welcome also to the Lovers Club. We renamed it since we've been gone, so that's news for you. Happy to have you here once again. Speaking of, Happy New Year, everybody. I think this is the first time that I've said Happy New Year twice in one season. So yes, I think now I will formally say this season's just gonna run. The season's gonna run until either I forget or I make a very clear and very certain cut to mark the season to come. So until then, yeah, this is longest running season. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. We will find out together. Normally, I would start off the episode with a long gap about what's personally been going on with me during this white gap, but I won't do that this time. Firstly, I have already kind of talked you guys' ear off about something that doesn't matter. Secondly, more important here is I think it's all the same reasons as before. Like, if you have listened to any of the past episodes we have, what's been going on with me is everything that has been going on with me. Some things are coming back for some reason, but it's just, same old. I don't think you guys need to hear the part 3 of the same old. And the third reason I've later discovered is I don't think any of this should matter to you. This is no shade at all. I just think that you guys aren't here for this. People are not tuning in for this, for me personally. So there is no real reason to bother with the whole thing. If you personally know me, and this is the only way you get updates on how I'm doing, well, firstly, that is sad. But secondly, reach out, shoot a text, shoot an email, send a raven. Please do not call me. Whatever you may do, please do not call me. But yeah, there are ways to find out how I'm doing. And I just don't think that the show is the time to do that. However, all of that being said, there is a secret fourth reason. That being, once again, I don't have a laptop. Yeah, it's just one of those life things where I finally get a fancy mic and then I just can't use it. It's like my life is making me pick up 2 for Bising. I don't know what's going on. So because of that, this episode will be off book today. And by off book, I obviously mean I have written down everything that needs to be discussed today, because organization is still important to me, believe it or not. I do have a very loose script this time around. For those of you that don't know, usually what I do is I literally write out word for word, bar for bar, what I want to say in the show, only because I tend to a lot in general conversation, and I don't think that people would want that to something that they're subscribed to listen to someone speak. I don't know, maybe that's the perfectionist in me, and maybe that's wrong. You guys will tell me, maybe that's actually deeply untrue. So I kind of wanted to go back to the roots of the show, which was usually me with a very rough idea of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say, and just letting the mistakes, the unintentional gags, the new ideas forming as I speak, I'm letting all of those things happen. There actually have been episodes in the past where I've done that. I say past, like recent past, and they performed really well. Okay, the one I think performed really well because I was just doing the book version of another episode that performed really well. So that could be it. More than for some reason people connect better to a more authentic version of me. Who knows? Who knows? Time will tell if this is disastrous or not. Actually, if it is truly disastrous, you will never hear this episode ever. So there's that. All of that being said, I feel like that is very befitting of the subjects of today's episode. Today, lovers, why did I drop my voice? Sorry. Today, I will be covering a pair that is so beloved on the internet. I actually kind of was hesitant to cover them at first, but now that I'm fully on board, and I think they're the perfect people to talk about. Lovers, today I will be discussing Jessica Day and Nicholas Miller from the long-running series New Girl. Pause for applause and a plane for some reason. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm going to say something that will scare many of you. I only finished New Girl last year, September. And then you're going to be like, oh, okay, no, but that's fine. But when did you start watching it? Lovers, I started watching it in the middle of 2023. And I did that then with the intention to talk about them on the show. But as always, with everything, life happened. And I didn't do this as like a rebellion. I wasn't doing that thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody loves this show, so I'm going to ignore it. It's just one of those things that happened. I had the chance to watch it way earlier when they were still on Netflix, and then I just didn't, because I honestly, I don't know. I just didn't. But I always wanted to have them on Starring Cupid, because I was not just being dramatic. They are very beloved. They are really beloved on the internet, and it's for a good reason. It's not one of those things where something is overhyped for reasons that you cannot understand. If you tune in long enough, you fully understand the appeal and the love that the show gets. I think this whole show is designed for you to, as an audience, to slowly but surely fall in love with each character and what they're going through and the kind of person that they are. And then when those characters get together, it feels like this is just an extension of your personal love for them. You know what I mean? I could have turned this episode into talking about long-term adult friendships, because I do think that is what is at the core of New Girl, and I will discuss it within the episode, but I felt that it was more important to discuss this couple right now for reasons that will become much clearer as I get through this. And yeah, I think we don't have enough mainstream popular examples of romantic pairings where people try again. Not a second chance. Second chance tropes implies that one of you fucked up, and so somebody else had to forgive you and then also give you the opportunity to try again. I don't think that's what happens here. I think this is a perfect case of two people just trying again. It's not something I've covered on the podcast before, I think. It's been a long show. There's going to be lots of times where I say, we've never talked about this before. And I know somebody out there will be like, yes, you did. I'm sorry. It's been a very long show. I've been doing this for plus minus 5 years. 5 years. It can't be more than 5 years. So a lot of things I'm going to personally forget. But yes, before I go off my train of thought again, let us get into the making of Jess and Nick. This show was created by Elizabeth Merriweather back in 2011 all the way until it ended in 2018, and it ran for 7 whole seasons. Merriweather is responsible for giving us things like No Strings Attached, Single Parents, and most recently she produced and created The Dropout. So I'm not going to say you can draw lines between all of these things back to New Girl, but some of them, yeah. It's a long show. It's 7 seasons between 7 years. That's a very long show, especially in this day and age. Even though the ending is fairly recent, we can't imagine having a show with a run like that anymore. Shows that have done this had this chance to run for so long, it feels like a prehistoric Jurassic Park thing where you look at them, you're like, oh my goodness, I remember when shows were this long. And not just the seasons being that long. We're talking minimum 20 episodes each of those seasons, excluding the final season. Unheard of Jurassic Park statistics. And all that time in those 7 years, that is dozens of writers that have worked through this and twice as many directors that have worked on this. Some people within the cast have had the chance to direct episodes like this. Is so many years and so many hands have been in this pot. I couldn't possibly highlight anybody or talk about anybody without feeling like I'm leaving somebody out. But I will say, amazing job by the writers. The show is insanely funny. Everyone talks about it on the internet. The meme pages attached to it, the Instagram pages that just repost clips or compilation clips from it. It's because as much as we love the characters in it, it is also really, really funny. You can take any one character and give them like a highlight video of the funniest thing they've said, and you will have people in the comments going, oh my goodness, I can't believe you left out XYZ. Like, those writers worked. You cannot say that New Girl isn't funny. Those writers worked. So shout out to them. Shout out to all their good work. Back to the whole long-term running series thing. It's given me the opportunity to have a little rant about something related to that point. I'm saying this like this entire show isn't just a vehicle for me to rant about things that I have no other place to rant, but hear me out. Everyone, I'm generalizing, and every point that I make, I'm generalizing. So please do not come to me with, well, I don't believe that. Good for you. As I was saying, everyone that feels like modern sitcoms have lost the source of our classics. I'm saying like late 90s, early 2000s, the beloved sitcoms that people still speak about today. Those people that love those, or feel like we don't have sitcoms that match up in modern day time. Those people, I believe that they are the same people that would hate a lengthy series that came out today. Listen closely. You think that you love, let's say, for example, the US version of The Office. You think you love it because it's got masterful writing paired with these emerging comedy stars, and together that combo has birthed this show that you love and you revisit as often as you can, and you feel like you cannot get that same satisfaction in anything else that you are watching right now. And I want to tell you right now, you are incorrect. You love The Office because you have been given enough material to decide that you love it. Every running joke, every filler episode, every random guest star, every season's long arc has formed the show that you love today. And that is why you love it. Let's say, in a hypothetical, I'm saying it's a hypothetical situation, but honestly, the way that the entertainment industry is running nowadays, this is very, very, very possible. And also, I see it in the comment section anytime you bring the cast back together. But let's say, in a hypothetical situation, they have decided that they want to revive New Girl today. It's going to come out on Hulu, whole thing. They're going to revive it, original cast members, everyone's coming out today. It would be 8 episodes, 40 minutes maximum each, and I guarantee you that everybody would hate it. Now, why would they hate it? It has all of the ingredients of New Girl that they loved so much. But no, it doesn't, because these aren't the circumstances that led to you loving this show. Because you needed time to fall in love with it. It's very easy for people now to be like, oh, I've loved New Girl since season 1. If they had cancelled it, if we were following the rules of the entertainment industry right now, 8 episodes, 40 minutes max, cancelled after season 1, you don't know if you would have loved it this much if those were the circumstances, because whether you want to admit it or not, you needed that time, that material, those fillers, all of the things that may have seemed like a waste of time to some people. You needed that to fall in love with it. And it happens so much, not just in regards to television. I see it happen when people talk about other people a lot. You think you're in love with the girl that you met last week. Why? Because it felt right, it felt passionate, it felt amazing. The chemistry off the charts, da-da-da-dee-dee-dee. I'm not going to say that is not true. What I am going to say is, I don't think that will always be true. Because you haven't experienced that person's filler episodes yet. There are times where people are boring. I'm sorry, that sounded so bad, but there are times when people are boring. There are times when people are uninteresting. There are times when people are not as attractive as the time that you met them. There are times when there are lulls. There are times when there are filler episodes. And you have to experience that because after you get through it, then you can be like, okay, the love has not changed. I still love this person. Then I think you can say that you're in love with the person, because that endurance is the thing that gets you to the love part. You experience the whole, you experience the lulls, and then when the highlights come back, you can kind of decide, okay, this is the full feeling. Again, it's not just shows, it's not just people. There's so many aspects of art and experiences that people just don't care for anymore, because no one wants to endure it to get to that full feeling. Like, you people don't like full albums anymore. You guys don't like hefty series if they don't capture your attention within the first 3 episodes. Like, you people don't love anything. It's so frustrating. I feel like Beyonce when she was saying, like, people don't make albums anymore, like that, but that about life, about everything in life. And I fear that I don't see a way forward. Like, I don't think we can fix that, and that's so devastating. On that very optimistic note, if I release this episode on time, it should be Friday, and it should be the 14th. So I do want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. Please go love something today. It doesn't matter what or who it is. Just please go love something today, in my honor, if you will. But yes, back to the show. The cast leading us through this show as the titular new girl, we have the lovely Zooey Deschanel as Jessica Christopher Day. I know somebody's gonna ask about. Please go watch the show again. Her middle name is Christopher, for reasons I actually can't remember now that I think about it. But yes, Miss Deschanel, she is a veteran in these streets. She has been acting. She has been in projects such as Elf, 500 Days of Summer, Surf's Up, Bridge to Terabithia, Failure to Launch, Almost Famous, the Trolls trilogy, and so many. Like, when I say she's been famous for a very long time, I mean it. I love her dearly. I love her work even more so. I think I've tried to watch all of these things that I've listed. I think 500 Days of Summer and Almost Famous are the only 2 things that I haven't seen. But yeah, she's very good. I think people who have seen maybe her latest works think that all she does is play Jessica Day, but I promise, if you watch other things, she has range. She has other like aspects of her acting that she taps into. She wouldn't have been working for so long for no good reason. Love her work. And also, when people talk about range, I think a lot of people would expect for me to like list a role where maybe it's very dramatic and heartbreaking, so that you can say, well, that is the full spectrum an actor can be. But I think being able to be in comedic roles consistently and be good is a range of its own, but that's a conversation for another day, another podcast episode. But yes, I do give my girl all of the praise, especially for leading a show like this. It does eventually, not even eventually, from the jump, it does eventually like become an ensemble thing where you are concerned and worried about everybody else's lives. But at the end of the day, I think Jess acts as the tether to everyone. She brings everybody together. Even when her life is spiraling, somehow she still brings everybody together. So, and I think that requires a lead actress to do a lot of work. At some point from the beginning she produced the show. So, you know, she's very tapped into the story, and I think that adds to why it is so good. Love her to bits. Love her work. alongside her. This always happens. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just drink from a water bottle. Hold on. Let's try that again. Alongside her, we have the resident internet boyfriend, beloved man. We have Jake Johnson as Nick Miller. Wow. Let me start with his work. Mr. Johnson has been in amazing projects such as the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and also Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is soon to come. He's been in Stumptown, Self-Reliance, Tag, Jurassic World, Drinking Buddies, Minx, No Strings Attached, 21 Jump Street. The list is very long. And you know what? Jake Johnson. What a man. What a man. I love his existence. I love his existence as I would say modern day sex symbol. Maybe he would disagree with that if like someone brought it up, but he is the ladies love him. The ladies love Jake. I think they started off liking Nick because Nick Miller is a lot of people's introduction to Jake Johnson, and I love that so much because I will get into this fully in the middle of the episode, but he is very much the idea of attractive in men that women like, if that makes sense. I'm trying to avoid saying the word female gaze because that's not what I mean, but yes, he makes every character that he plays sweet and lovable by virtue of sprinkling himself into it, and people love him already. Women love him so much that we also love Peter B. Parker from Into the Spider-Verse. Shout out to the animators because he beautifully crafted man. And then also that it's getting thirsty, but I like the rasp of his voice. Even when he goes like high, that's fine. But like oh my gosh, he sounds like a bear. Does that make sense? He sounds like a bear, and I think I really like that. Like a goofy, clumsy, like if Yogi Bear was real. I'm revealing a lot about myself right now. I think it also doesn't help that he kind of looks like Oscar Isaac. And someone's gonna go, what? No, but listen, he kind of does sometimes. Like, maybe not like Oscar Isaac, but maybe like a brother, which doesn't make sense because Jake Johnson doesn't look Hispanic at all. This is a thought that's not going anywhere. All of this to say, I'm in love with him. I love him very much, but also he is a great actor. I love his work. I love the things that he's been attached to and a part of. His work as Nick Miller is also commendable beyond how women feel about him. Yeah. Honorable mentions. Of course, I must start off with our main cast. There is no new girl without the full cast. They make up the loft, they make up the friendship, and they are all important players in the story. I'm talking about Max Greenfield, Hannah Simone, Damon Wayans Jr., and Emmy Award-winning Lamorne Morris. Did the Emmy come from doing New Girl? No. But streets are saying it should have, and I agree. I truly agree. Like I said, love these people. Love what they attach to the show. I love what they bring to the show. And we really couldn't have had this without them. They're all funny in their own unique ways. And yeah, love this entire cast to bits. Of course, they are supported by many actors, some that come and go throughout the series, but I'm going to read this list because I think this is one of the other things we've lost with the lack of long-running series nowadays is you will get a group of guest stars that is so ridiculous. Let me list off. We have Megan Fox, Nassim Pedrad, Rob Reiner, Dermot Mulroney, Greta Lee, Brenda Song, Peter Gallagher, Linda Cardellini, Lucy Punch, Sam Richardson, Taylor Swift, Taye Diggs, John Cho, fucking Gordon Ramsay at some point. And that is just a snapshot of the people. Like, the list goes on forever. There are people that were guest stars before they became famous. There are people that are guest stars long after being famous. Veterans of the game. It's just anybody who has tried their hand at comedy acting has probably been a guest star on the show. Like, the list is ridiculous, and I think that's great. I think that's yes, one of the things we've lost, and it's sad because then without guest stars, not a lot of people get to flex maybe their comedy muscles. Because that's a nice thing about sitcom guest starring, is that you could literally be a Oxford taught, classically trained actor who does the most dramatic roles under the sun, and then you come on a set like this and you literally get the chance to just play around, mess around, but also prove that the comedic ability exists within you. So I think that's nice. And I miss it. I miss it so much. On to the plot. For anyone that has not watched New Girl yet, I would highly, highly recommend it. I know it took me a long time to come to it, but when I did eventually arrive and I set my feet in, I knew that okay, this is what people are talking about. This show is popular for a very good reason. I promise you, people on the internet are not wasting their time talking about something that they hate. That this is a really good sitcom. For those that maybe have watched it a long time ago, haven't seen it in a while, and they need a refresher, here is a very short summary. Hold on. I think I'm getting sick. I keep having to clear my throat. Hold on. A heartbroken young woman moves into a loft with 3 single men. Chaos and general hijinks ensue as they make their ways through adulthood, self-discovery, and love. In hindsight, the synopsis implies that Jess is the one that came with all the chaos, but I want the record to show that these clowns were quite chaotic, if not more chaotic, way before she arrived. Now, before I go on, it's a long show. It ran for 7 years. There's probably nothing that happens in it that you probably haven't seen on the internet yet, but I'm gonna go into detail about all of those things. So, major plot spoilers ahead. The main subjects of this episode are spoiler enough if you put the dots together, but I'm telling you now, there are way more spoilers as we go along. So if you haven't seen it and you still intend to see it, this is the moment where I would pause, now back up, and I'd maybe go watch the show. Now, Jess and Nick, they are popular for many reasons. Like I said earlier, the show is popular for a good reason, but with them it's not so clear cut why they are so beloved. But I've formulated some reasons to make up this episode for you. I think it's a combination of a bunch of things, but the most major one to me is I think that the love between them is so extraordinary, even though it doesn't fully arrive to us as an audience until much later. And I think that's the thing that keeps people coming back, or keeps people talking about them. Like that love is so strong. And it's not the biggest part of them. If it was, then a lot of you would have tuned out when they broke up. But the biggest part of them is they have this compassion and love for each other that exists outside of the romantic. There is so much compassion and love in their just normal platonic friendship. Not as the show goes on. I think from the pilot, it is very evident that these two care for each other very deeply. I think in the pilot, I almost called him Jake, sorry. Nick has the opportunity to see an ex that they start off the show with him like pining after her, like not really truly over their relationship. He has the chance to see her again, and he drops that opportunity because he hears that Jess is somewhere sad. Like that's all he needs. And this is a woman he met, I think, 2 days prior. So that is the foundation we are working with. We are working with two people that from the beginning, through the hills and the valleys, through every doomed relationship they individually go through, there is always that love and compassion for each other. Goofiness, hijinks, and love, like those are their pillars, and everybody can find something in there to love about them. So without going into too much detail, which I feel like I already have, it's Jess and Nicholas. Now, normally I would get into the 3 C's that make up a perfect couple, but I feel like chemistry, connection, communication, we see that when we watch the show. I might touch on communication in the middle of this, but chemistry and connection kind of play a part in my first point, which is this is your traditional friends to lovers trope, but I think because long-running series, we get kind of a realistic timeline with them. So you meet them, you see how they interact and how they are within their friendship. You can clearly make up that there is a chemistry and a connection here. Fun fact, writers weren't prepared to connect this connection too early on. So this is according to the fun facts page. I haven't watched back to see if this is true, but apparently Deschanel and Johnson were not allowed to have too many scenes together, too much physical interaction in the first season, because the writers believed that they had too much chemistry already, and they didn't want to bring that forth to the audience's attention before they were ready to do something about it, which is so oh my goodness to me. And it's true, you can feel it's a very tangible chemistry between the two of them throughout, honestly. But in the times that they are friends, like there's no question about the fact that they are friends in that time. So when we do eventually get the matchup, because as much as we had it back burner season 1, season 2 rolls around and we get the first chance at seeing them together. They do get together after some contentious things happen. But we're happy, we're enjoying this moment. But then they break up in season 3, shortly into season 3. And it's not this whole thing where you are watching them, you're waiting for the moment. If you're watching them and you're waiting for the moment for them to get back together within season 3, you would be holding your breath for a long time, because these two only reunite in season 6. And you can ask yourself, you can think, oh well, that's kind of silly. Why would you have this chemistry connection that these two people have and keep them apart for that long? And that goes back to what I was saying with the realistic timeline. That's sometimes just what happens. Sometimes people do try it when they think the time is right for them to try it, and it just doesn't work out for a million reasons. We were given a lot of reasons why these two knocked heads or like didn't make the push. But I think the main reason for me is just that they were not ready to be in a relationship specifically with each other, because they do go on to have they have relationships before each other, they have relationships after each other, and maybe those were good and right at that time, but they don't even last, which goes back to what I'm saying. Like, sometimes you might not be ready to be together, and some people might take this as an opportunity to like never speak to somebody ever again, because maybe it's too hard, it's too painful to just stay in someone's space knowing that you couldn't be what you wanted to be. But what I like about them is, because they started off as genuine friends and the love was gradual, even though it's only season 2, it was gradual enough. I do think that was the thing that held them together and made it possible for them to reunite later on, because their friendship was unaffected. In fact, they go on to help each other in the new relationships that they form out. Like, Jess even goes out of her way to befriend every girl that Nick dates, which is, it's a word, but it's just day, guys. Like, Jess was gonna do that regardless. I think Jess would do that with whichever ex you like point to and refer to. Like, that's just who she is. And a lot of people can be confused by that, because I say that, oh, they're not ready for each other, but you see them, you see their friendship, you see their connection, and their personalities really do match up. Because even though Jess is quirky in her own way and Nick is quirky in his own, that is enough to like link them. They're quirk for quirk. It's just in different categories. And again, you're upset because this should add up, but it doesn't. But then we look at who they are as individuals at the beginning of all of this and who they come out to be by the end of this. And we start off with my girl Jess Nick. I don't know why I said it like that. Jess is your typical average but also ultimate lover girl. Jess loves love. She loves to love. She loves being loved. She loves being liked even. Like, she really does. That optimistic, happy energy that she puts out into the world, she really wants to inject that into everything, and that obviously touches on her romantic life. The show begins because of Jess's love life. We meet her because she has broken up with her long-term boyfriend. They were living together and he cheated on her, so she had to leave. She had to get out there immediately. So immediately we are made aware of the fact that she is ride or die lover girl who is always up to try, is always up to keep the love alive, even at her own expense. But no matter how painful her past experiences may be, she never really truly gives up on the idea of love because she likes it so much. There are people that would be in the same situation she is at the very beginning and just like swear off dating for a long time. There are many times where she tries to swear off dating. I remember there's the one boyfriend, Sam, where they technically started off as a purely physical relationship, but Jess being Jess, she couldn't hold on to that forever. She needed more. Her body responds to the full romantic experience, which is fine. She didn't even say that to be like, oh, people that only engage in physical relationships are wrong. She doesn't judge people for what they want out of relationships. She just has to come to this understanding that she is and has always been a romantic love girly. And I'm glad for her, because that optimism, that spirit to always try again, it opened her up to some amazing partners along the way. Like, she does experience some genuinely beautiful, lovely love stories through the course of this show, even though they don't pan out. Not even in the worst way. Some of them end in such a gentle, like, life just happened way, and that's fine with her, because when you're a real lover, when you're a real lover girl, as much as your heart is open to these kinds of things, it always has to also be open to those things falling apart. That was not good English, I think. But yeah, it's like that whole thing of, as easy as love comes in, it can easily leave, and you just have to reach a point in your life where you're okay with either scenario. Otherwise, you could find yourself holding on to a thing that has long since expired or long since run its course, just for the sake of, you don't want this to be over. I'm not even saying that Jess never does that. There are many instances where she does hold on to things for far too long, and that's one of her great flaws. I think with every great characteristic that you have, it can have a flaw attached to it, and that's one of the things with Jess. And also, it's a thing with people that are real lovers out there, real romantics out there. You would think that love comes to them easily because they're always, so willing to say yes, so willing and open to interact with people, to have those connections with people. But that's not the case. Life does not work like that. Just because you want something really bad, life don't give a fuck. You could be a real lover girl, romantic, and like be single for years on end, just because that's not what the universe wants to give you right now, and you just have to be fine with it. You have to take it on the chin. But what you should never do, and what I think Jess never stopped doing, is you never stop yearning. You never stop wanting. You never take a substandard offering for the sake of not being alone anymore, because that is potentially worse than being alone. Not even potentially, I think that is worse than being alone. There are times where she's had to reckon with that fact herself, where she's been in situations where she's like, okay, that was fun, but this isn't what I want. This isn't what I need. This isn't what I want. And so I should step back and let this person move away, because this is not what either of us signed up for, and it would just be a waste of time. I'm not saying she does it immediately every time. In fact, as time goes by, I think she gets better at it in her own personal life. I wanted to talk about her boyfriends, because I have a ranking. I think it's a controversial ranking, but I have a ranking. My number one is Ryan. I think Ryan was one of the loves of her life. Like, people have talked about this whole thing of, you don't have one particular person that is your soulmate. I think you have a bunch of soulmates that you meet over the course of your life, and either they fall through or things happen. But But yes, I think Ryan was one of the pure loves of her life. Ryan was like they were completely the same person, but different enough where it would have worked had life not gotten in the way. So yeah, Ryan's my number one. For biased reasons, Russell is my number two. I liked what he brought to her life in terms of like the adulthood, and also like she gave him this opportunity to be a relaxed, chill guy for the first time in his life. I don't like how he became towards her at the end of their relationship and then all the interactions afterwards, but they find a middle ground at some point, and so yeah, second. Third is Sam. I don't like how Sam became post breakup. Some would say he was justified because technically someone don't do that. Just cheated on him. So I guess yeah, he's kind of justified in being a jerk from time to time because of that. But I think there are instances where he took it too far for me personally. But in the time that they were together and they were happy and they were good, I think Sam was a very good person for her. I also appreciate that he was able to like recognize that Jess wanted more than just the physical, and so they could expand upon that. Not a lot of people do that, and expand upon that and like commit to it. Like he didn't just say yes because he wanted to keep her around. He actually did genuinely try to keep at it, and that's good. So that's my top three. No one asked, but that's my top three. There was a point to all I'm saying. Yes, we love our girl Jessica Day. We love her enthusiasm and optimism towards romantic love all the time, but it must be noted that there's flaws in that, and she has had to learn to like move past her incessant need to be loved and be liked to the point of her detriment. And I think that's a huge part of growing up that some people don't get around the first time, they don't get around the second time, and they do not get it on the third time, but eventually they will get it. So yes, I appreciate her spirit and her enthusiasm, and I like that she learns the lessons along the way, because then they form what then becomes her big love story that she's been waiting for. Speaking of her big love story, we have to turn to the man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend, the people's beloved Rick, that is Nick Miller. I want to start by saying that Nick Miller is a prime example of the fact that women don't care if you're a brokey, if your soul is pure. There's lots of red pill incel content creators that will want you to believe that the only time you are of value to women romantically is if you can give them something monetary, something physical, something materialistic. They'll tell you that that's the only way. Or if you are physically like the standard of beauty, that they'll tell you that that's the only way one can quote unquote get bitches. But I want to tell you now, as one of the many women that will tell you over the course of your life, that is simply not always the case. If anything, your chances are way higher with just being a good, genuine person. And not even pretend, because some people will pretend, which I don't understand, because I don't think it takes acting to be a good, genuine person. But that's just me. Maybe it comes easily to me. But yeah, Nick Miller is an example of that, because on paper, we shouldn't love him. On paper, we should actually run away. Because not only is he, in his personal life, a wreck, in his physical space, he's a wreck, I think his health is also really, really bad. I don't think Nick has ever taken care of himself, ever in his life. I would be shocked to find that he does have enough money to like keep his own self afloat, let alone keep going into the future. Like, I don't know if he was ever going to be able to retire off the money he was making working the bar and all that stuff. He's not He's not a functional person. He's happy within his dysfunction. He's happy with the life that he has. He has no issue. He could have gone on like that for the rest of his life, and that's bad. But we love him. We love him because his soul is pure. He's a nice, genuine person who knows what he is, and he stands by it. He has morals that he stands by, a code that he stands by. And although not the physical standard of male beauty, if you like compare him to someone like Schmidt, who is very concerned with his outward appearance and like trying to look put together all the time and fit in whatever, Nick's not that. Nick could possibly care less, and yet we all fly to him, we all cling to him because pure soul, pure intentions, heart of gold. And also I think the effort to be better is always there. It only really takes shape, I think, after his first breakup with Jess. Why am I saying first breakup? It makes it sound like they get divorced later. But yeah, after his breakup with Jess, there is more of that drive to be better and to do better, because, you know, let's be real, divas. Nick was not at the ultimate boyfriend, ultimate partner level that we find him in by the end of it. At that time, he knew something had to change, and I'm glad that happened because, you know, he's a good person, pure intentions, pure soul, like I said. And also, oh yeah, I forgot to say, I think Nick is also a great example of, he's a true lover boy through and through. He's not as loud and proud about it as our girl Jess is, but through and through, true and true, he is quite the lover boy. Like, he tries so hard to throw his entire body into the romantic couplings that he had. He gave us that famous audio where he says that, I think he's questioned by Winston about why he's still single, and he gives us the famous line where he's like, I'm waiting to be swept off my feet. I'm waiting for this person that's going to come into my life and, like, you know, change everything up. And it's evident also in his other major relationships. I think mostly with Reagan and Caroline. Like, he really likes being in love and throwing himself into these relationships. He's as much of a lover boy as Jess is. It's quite as it's kept. He's also into that stuff, and I think that's why he does go into this world pure souled, pure intentions, because he knows that's kind of like the only way you can form that genuine connection that he is personally seeking. I do like that he gives himself the opportunities to just be in, like, physical relationships with people. He doesn't try to, like, lull them into this false sense of, oh, if you just hold on, this will become something better, this will become. He's also very honest about where he is in his life and where he is mentally and all that stuff. I don't think there's ever a time where you truly sell somebody a dream about who he is. If anything, there's lots of times where he's just like, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be. You truly have to take it or leave it at this point. I think the only difference with Jess and that first breakup is that one of the main ingredients to their separation is that he is in a place, yes, it's who he is, but Jess knows that it's not all that he could be, especially with his aspirations to be an author. She understands that the intentions and the effort are there. He just needs to have now the belief, and at that time he didn't. At that time he just thought that this is all I could be. And so when someone's at that point, sometimes the best thing you can do for them is to leave them alone, because if they are comfortable, if they are in a space where they are an immovable force and you don't want to be, if they are in I'm quoting the wrong physics. If they are an immovable object and you don't want to be the force trying, then you're allowed to step away. You're allowed to be like, well, this is not the thing I want to do, so I'm gonna back that up. She supported him as a friend throughout, but I understand that the difference of just you don't want to be the partner that has to be pushing you all the time. So it is great that Nick has that time to be by himself, to truly feel and work on it and support his own ideas and his own ambitions, because I think he would have resented Jess if their entire relationship turned into her just yelling at him to get his shit together. That would not have been fun. But that's all the connection and communication part. The chemistry part, again, which is huge for them. It is spoken about greatly, and I don't know, I think it's something that grows from the friendship. I think had they not known each other in that personal way before, it wouldn't have turned into what we get. We wouldn't have gotten sorry, me giggling. We wouldn't have gotten things like the famous kiss in season 2, because that was born from the yearning, the kind of yearning that is born from. You guys, I'm sorry, I made notes up. I rewatched the episode because I had to, and I made notes, and I just wanted to say that there hasn't been lots of super romantic sitcom moments in our history. That kiss is romance history. That kiss is so important. I think it should be put in the National History Museum in America. I think everyone should watch it at least once in their lives, because it's just filled with so much yearning and pent up sexual when I watched the episode back, I realized, I was like, this is what they mean when they're talking about sexual tension. It's solid brick of sexual. You would have to punch through it to get through. It was just, oh my goodness. And part of that is because of Nick being such a lover, because he does admit later that he has liked Jessica since she arrived at the loft, which was a long time ago at that point. So that's all of his just pent up passion and desire pouring out in this one moment. But I knew, oh my goodness, from the moment, I think when they were locked in the room to do the dare kiss and Nicholas yells, "Not like this," I was like, oh, hello? What do you mean by that? If someone said that to me, that would rewire my brain, because the implications are huge. And that entire episode is just, guys, you know what else it is? I'm sorry, I think my mind is blurring with the thought of it. You know what else it is? It is because Jake Johnson kisses with a passion that is so missed in the romance community, in the romance screening community. He kisses like you are reading a romance novel. Do you understand? One of my favorite podcasts, and I will always say this, the podcast that birthed this one, Starring Cupid, would not exist had I not found Thirsty Date Kit when I did. There was an episode there where one of the hosts, Nicole, she speaks about Jay Johnson and sorry. Oh, maybe it was a tweet. It's between, she either said it on the show or she said it in a tweet, but I followed her because I love the show so much. Anyway, Nicole says that Jake Johnson kisses like he needs the oxygen in your lungs. And yes, but also I would like to add, from a scene in the show Minx, when he reconnects with a past lover of his. I'm not going to spoil the show, you should go watch it. There's a moment where they share a kiss, and after I saw that, I realized that he also, simultaneously with what Nicole said, he also kisses like he's breathing life into you at the same time. And I think that exists within the kiss on New Girl as well. Like that pull back and just his arm placements and the urgency, and he's pouring out at least a year's worth of desire into her and pulling it out of her at the same time. And in the museum, they need to put him in a museum. The future generations must know that Jake Johnson is the on-screen kisser of dreams. Oh my goodness. But yes, I've lost my train of thought. My point is that all of this was coming to be, and the foundation of it, the starter point of it, was their friendship. And now people will hear that and they will misconstrue that idea and go like, oh well, they know heterosexual friendship is ever really truly platonic, because like someone between them is always that wants that, always needs that. And even in the show, they are guilty of pointing to how close Jess and Nick were and how they would help each other and how they would be there for each other. There's an episode, a few episodes before the infamous kiss, called The Fluffer, where the guys basically describe Nick's role in Jess's life as like a practice boyfriend, just because he is willing to hang out with her so much. He is willing to do certain tasks for her if she asks for it. And I hate that episode so much. I hate the concept of the fluffer so much, because what you are describing is friendship, which, unpopular opinion, can and does very well exist amongst heterosexual pairings for a lot of times. It happens. It is possible that you can have a genuine platonic friend as a woman in a man and it becomes nothing. It's just sometimes those relationships can turn romantic. I don't think it's a cause and effect thing. I think it's just a per chance thing, because if we look at all romantic relationships that have ever happened, a lot of them come from situations where maybe it could have stayed platonic if nothing happened, but per chance something happened. It's like the whole work husband, work wife thing, where everyone's just now worried that their partner is going off to work and slowly falling in love with this person that they work with. That doesn't happen nearly as much as we talk about it, but because there have been a handful of times where someone met their future spouse, their future partner via work, now it becomes this thing of, oh my gosh, it could happen to you. A lot of things could happen to you. A lot of things could not happen to you. That is just life. And I don't think that's enough for us to now decide that a certain dynamic shouldn't exist because it will always lead to romance. Because I think when we start doing that, then we start sounding like Twitter talk. Then we start sounding like the way people talk about relationships on podcasts. And the irony of me saying that right now, but you never want to delve into a world where these paranoid hypothetical situations make up your reality, because now you will be missing out on genuine friendships, genuine connections with people that will probably be in your life forever, just because it could maybe potentially one day turn romantic. And also, what if it does turn romantic? Is that really the worst thing in the world? It goes back to that thing I was saying. Everyone is so scared of being caught liking something, loving something, because there's that dreaded fear in the back of everyone's mind that it's gonna fall through, it's not gonna work out, and now you will be left by yourself. But it's not just about being alone. I think a lot of people are just scared of, oh, I loved publicly, I was in a publicly publicly developed relationship, so now everyone knows my business, everyone knows that this doesn't work out. I feel so humiliated in the public space because I tried to love somebody. And that is so silly, because first of all, and I think top of the mind all the time, love is humiliating. Love is humiliating. I'm not saying that to love somebody will always lead to humiliation, but it's you can't look cool doing it. You can't be wise the entire time doing it. You're going to slip up, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to be in pairings that maybe don't work out. And so what? I don't even care if everyone was watching me do this, like in a 50,000 people kind of reality TV show setting. I don't care if 5 people saw me. I don't care if my entire Instagram feed saw me. It was worth it. The pursuit, the trying, the love is worth it. If it ends in disaster, okay. Lots of things have ended in disaster. Lots of things have ended in disaster. And even saying ended in disaster implies that that is it for that person. Everyone will go on to love again. Everyone will go on to live. Everyone will go on to be okay. And that's actually one of the beautiful things about this show, is that everyone in this friend group is relatively clumsy in love. Even the people that maybe had found their soulmate earlier on, but things happened and now they make it through at the end. Even if they didn't have an end game, they all survived all of what they thought were their worst moments, or their ends in romantic love. Everyone finds a way through it, because you grow out of the humiliation, you grow out of the embarrassment and the pain of it all. There is a long time sometimes between that pain and being okay, but the end statement is you grow out of it. You are not cursed to never find love ever again. Most of the time you are just in a waiting room. That's it. You are just in a waiting room. And if you decide, okay, I never want to feel this pain ever again, so I will never try again, that is such a miserable life. That is such a miserable life, because now you are not taking chances anymore because you only bet on sure hands. That's a miserable life. And so I like that we have this couple, this pairing of 2 people that are clumsy, they are silly, they make mistakes, they are humiliated sometimes, they are discouraged lots of times, but no matter what the case may be, they always found a way to step out of that humiliation, step out of that embarrassment, and love again. Not just to the point where they found each other again, even though that's what we're here for and what we're celebrating. I like the fact that they just keep trying, because I think that everybody everywhere should just keep trying, even if you're not actively trying every minute of the day. I don't like the idea of fully giving up, because I think it is only in fully giving up where you truly lose, and that is more sad and that is more painful than a couple of people witnessing you struggle or be broken up with or be heartbroken once upon your life. Because on the other side of that trying again is a person that eventually gets not only what they want, but sometimes things that they did not even think were possible to wish for. And that is very evident with Jess and Nick, who love each other to the point where they fall in love with new versions of each other that are way better and way better suited to be together than they were in the past. So yeah, trying again. It's great. Highly recommend. You know when you don't realize how passionate you sound until you like take a breath and drink some water, and then you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on with you? Like, why you care so much? Anyway, likes and dislikes time. Likes. It's a long list. I like how individual everyone on this show is, and then in that same breath I like how no one is perfect. I think in comedy shows it's very easy to have a big cast like this and have people that have their shit together, have the full adulting like world cut out so that they stand out amongst the train wrecks, because train wrecks are very easy to make comedic. But this show offers us people at different stages of their life just trying to figure it out. I think I touched on it in the previous segment, but in all areas, not just in love, in all areas of their life, I think each individual character is trying to reach this point where they are closer to not only who they are but what they want to be. And some people it happens from the beginning, some people it happens in the middle, some people you thought you met who had their life together decide like in the last hours that I actually know that there's a different path for me and I want to pursue it now. And they're all different from each other. Like no one two characters are going through the same thing at the same time. They even do it, it's not just with the main cast, they even do it with like side characters that maybe, for example, when we meet Russell, we are presented with this person that has his life all together and all planned and perfect, and so you kind of think like Jess struggles with dating him because she feels like she does not fit that thing in his life. And then you find out later that actually he's as fucked up as the rest of us. I think that's important to see, and especially not just presenting imperfect people to us, but also presenting how their lives turn out when they figure it out. Still imperfect, but having had figured out. I think that I like that a lot. I like how the producers and the people reintegrated Coach into the story, and then in the same way seamlessly wrote him out again when it was time for him to leave. For those of you that don't know, Damon Wayans Jr. playing Coach, he shows up in the pilot because that's who they had intended to be the main cast of the show, but it was only picked up much later after they had filmed that pilot, and by then I think he had joined another show or he was no longer available to be a part of it, and then that is how we get Lamore and Mars joining them, and then they get like 4 seasons to fully flesh out this new friendship group to us, only for Coach to come back later. And they could have just sandwiched him in, but they explain his departure, they explain his return, and then he seamlessly like comes back into the fold as if he never left. And I really like how they did that. And even when he eventually leaves, it is handled in such a careful way, but a character befitting way that, yeah, they did a good job with that. I like that. I hope he's having a good time in New York. I really like Jess's outfits and her general sense of style. We are always made aware, we're always reminded that she is a quirky person with optimistic, happy-go-lucky outlook on life, and I like that how that is present in her clothing. I can't remember her name now, but there's a time where Nick has a girlfriend played by, oh my goodness, Liz Kaplan. I'm so sorry that I don't have this researched, but I realized halfway through that I wanted to make this point. There's a time where Nick has this girlfriend who's a serious lawyer, and when she meets Jess, she's kind of offended by how whimsical and silly she is. And I like that in that moment Jess stands up for herself and who she is and what kind of person she is. And yeah, I think her outfits are a silent way for her to stand up for herself. Like, she is proud of who she is, the kind of person she is, and she wears that quite literally with pride. And also, they're stylish outfits. Like, I don't care what anyone says, those fits go hard. Maybe I wouldn't wear every single one of them, but those fits, they go hard. Oh, Lord. I like everybody's end game matchups. Yeah, I'm happy with who everyone ended up with. I like a lot of people, when they speak about the show, they like to speak about Cece and Schmidt, who are, even though they are a second tier relationship in the show, I think they are also one that is fully fleshed out, well developed, and I like the way that their story comes together at the end. I really appreciate, this is a side chat now, I really appreciate that they experienced the full cycle of a second chance couple. Like, they did the second chance trope very well. I really like that about them. Yeah, everybody ends up with what I think made sense for them at the time, and I really like that. I will complain that I'm angry that we didn't get to see Winston's wedding, because I think we were robbed. Him and Ali deserved to get at least like a screenshot of it. Like, we deserved to see it. That's all I'm saying. Dislikes. I don't know why I said it like that. Dislikes. I hate that Winston is a cop. This is not even a unique perspective. A lot of people on the internet feel the way that I do, but I hate it. I hate it so much. I think that the show had this unique opportunity with Winston, where you have this person who had an established life or career path for themselves before, and now they find themselves in this limbo. Like, I think they're all in their late 20s, if not early 30s. And that's a weird time to discover that, like, the career that you wanted to do is not panning out. And so I think they had this unique opportunity, especially with like this whole self-discovery theme that they have going on. They had this unique opportunity with Winston to like show how you can get to a point where you you allow yourself to have a fresh start at a time where people think that you should have figured your life out by now. And he could have been so many things. There's so many career paths. There's so many jobs. There's so many things he could have been. So to make him a police officer, also not just because I hate the police, not just because of that, but also because now prior to Coach returning, he was the only black person on the cast. To make the only black man on your cast a policeman is so wicked, because you know that at some point it will circle back to the race relations chat that happens in American television. And this is not the first time that this has been done. They did the same thing to why can't I remember his name? Amenadiel. They did the same thing to Amenadiel in Lucifer, and it pissed me off so much, because now not only are you this thing that doesn't make any sense for your character arc, you're doing this job, and now you have to be the face of the eventual episode where they break down the race relations in the country with regards to black people. And I hate it so much. It makes me so upset. But I have to get through it. I have to endure it. I also dislike that despite this starting in 2011, there are lots of elements of this show that have aged poorly. poorly. And I try not to judge them too hard, because you have to understand that some things reflect the times that they were made in. And at the time that the show was created, yes, fat phobia was rampant, and the general idea of people, this is the general outlook that people had. No one was willing to have the compassion to speak about fat people positively. That's the time that they were in. The whole playful misogyny of Schmidt at the beginning, that is just how men were at the time. They tried to fix it by eventually he evolves slowly but surely, but at the time, that's how the general male public was like. And yes, I could just say that, they were reflecting the times, and that doesn't mean that they applaud this or any of the stuff is deemed to be good. I just wish I didn't have to see it. That's it. A lot of things that have aged poorly. My whole argument is I just wish I didn't have to endure it. I could have been here enjoying my cute little sitcom, but here I am being berated by fat jokes that I honestly did not have to hear. And that's just the cross that they have to bear for the rest of this thing. Part of that is also and it's only becoming very clear to me now, the more series that I'm getting into that are made almost 10 years prior. Israel is injected into so many things in American TV culture. I recently finished, it was last year, I recently finished Veep, and there's this whole thing about Israel in it. And while the show takes that whole halfway stance about it, there are lots of other shows that just fully have the Zionist ideals and propaganda sandwiched into them, and their excuse will be there's a Jewish character in the show, so that's the thing. And I know that there are lots of Jewish people that are against Zionism, and I feel so bad for them, because now, at least in a TV perspective, your people's culture, your people's history is now merged with this terrible organization that has done terrible things in the past and now in the present. And it's tied to each other forever through things like television shows and movies and stuff like that, just because that was the Zionist idea all along, was to just integrate it into popular culture. Even now, I'm watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it was going so good, and then they brought up Israel, and I was oh my goodness, this is just part of TV now. I doubt it will change completely, but I'm hoping it will at least become more shameful to be associated with them. I don't know. We'll see. This is a small dislike and kind of related. I don't like how lackluster the Brooklyn Nine-Nine crossover episode was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine side. When I saw, because it's just a cameo, honestly. It's just Jessica bumping into Jake Peralta in the city when I watched it on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then I eventually got to that episode of New Girl, and it's a fully integrated crossover. They interact with each character on the show. I don't know. Disney gave us some of the best episode crossovers, and now no one can really top it. We reached the end of the show. Yeah. Can't believe I've done it. I was so nervous at the beginning of this. I have no idea why. Again, I've been doing this for 4+ years. I'll never understand the nerves. But yeah, we made it to the end. And of course, your special little treat for making it to the end is that you get to be involved. You get to interact. You get to make a choice. I'm overselling this. This is our first battle in a while, and at first, I'll be honest, I wanted to be lazy and do a show-specific battle amongst the other couples that I have mentioned. But then I thought about it, like everyone has a very special attachment to all the pairings on the show, so it felt like I'd be forcing everybody to pick their favorite child, and I don't want to do that. We've all endured so much. So yeah, I'm gonna skip that. I'm going to give us a proper battle, and now it's time for Who's Your Fave Battle of the Week with the quirky losers edition. I promise I mean this with the most affection available in my heart. I say losers as a compliment, really, as a marker of one period of their lives and not their entire being. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think you should understand what I mean when I talk about the contenders. In this corner, we have the comical couple, Midge Maisel and Lenny Bruce from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, versus the Retail Wranglers, Amy and Jonah from Superstore. Now, ironically, I have chosen these people to be in the battle. I don't think I've finished either of their shows. I've watched a lot of Superstore. I've never reached the final season. And I'm currently on the final season of Marvelous Miss Maisel, but I'm not done with it, obviously. So I have no assurance that either of these pairings are truly the end game. I'm just hoping, honestly, just going off hope and internet shipping. But I think they fit the bill, and that was more important to me than knowing for sure. You can find the poll where you can make your voice heard on your favorite couple on our Twitter at Starring Cupid, or on our Tumblr, Starring Cupid Podcast, or possibly and momentarily on our Instagram at Zamati Shares. Please also let us know who is your favorite couple from you, girl. Maybe we can discuss who shouldn't have been in game. I'm willing to hear every and all messages on the matter. You can also just follow us for updates, because that's seemingly going to be the way that you know that a new episode is coming out, because I cannot promise you that I will be here next week. I'm actually going to stop making promises like that. All I will say is tune in next time and follow us for updates on the matter. All jokes aside, I truly do hope that you guys are having a sweet Valentine's Day. It is a day of love, and I wouldn't be the podcaster that I am if I didn't think love is a beautiful thing. And I think we should all take every opportunity we have to celebrate it, not just romantic. Please have your Galentine's Days, have your Brolentine's Day. What's the male equivalent of Galentine's? Brolentine? Brolentine? Anyway, spend time with loved ones. It's wonderful. It's wonderful no matter which way you spend it, I promise. And if you truly do want to disengage on everything about this entirely, I want you to remember that chocolate and wine are on sale for the whole weekend. Chocolate, wine, there were champagne sales where I was looking on the 60/60 app. Like, guys, please tap in any way you can. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. I hope you have a lovely life. I shall see you when I see you. I love you loads. That's one person that loves you this Valentine's Day. It's me. I love you loads. Lovers. Goodbye.